Welcome back. Let's stay with politics right now. It's been a week of favorable polls for the Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton, but speaking of self-inflicted wounds, the nominee Hillary Clinton still cannot escape the controversy surrounding the untrue claims she continues to make about her email server as she took questions today from journalists during a moderated panel. Let's get to CNN national correspondent Suzanne Malveaux. Suzanne, the FBI director several weeks ago testified that Hillary Clinton told the FBI the truth about her email server, but he also made clear that things that Clinton said to the public about her server were not true. Still, twice this week, Clinton misrepresented that. What did she have to say about it today?
Jake, what she said was she called her explanation short-circuited but not untruthful. So skeptics really looking very closely at that kind of tortured explanation. She started her speech talking about comprehensive immigration reform, that the campaign has set up this all-Spanish Twitter account and dealing with black unemployment. So clearly trying to address some of the needs of her audience. But as soon as the Q&A started, she was hit with some really tough questions.
America is better than Donald Trump.
Hillary Clinton laying into Donald Trump today at a conference for Black and Hispanic journalists in Washington.
We need to stand up as a country and say that Donald Trump doesn't represent who we are and what we believe.
Clinton was asked about her claim in a pair of recent interviews that FBI Director James Comey said her public answers about her emails were truthful, a statement ruled false by fact-checkers.
I was pointing out in both of those instances that Director Comey had said that my answers in my FBI interview were truthful. That's really the bottom line here. I may have short-circuited it, and for that I will try to clarify, because I think Chris Wallace and I were probably talking past each other because of course he could only talk to what I had told the FBI, and I appreciated that.
Clinton also addressed questions about her struggles with voters who do not see her as honest and trustworthy.
Every time I have done a job, people have counted on me and trusted me. I take it seriously. It doesn't make me feel good when people say those things, and I recognize that I have work to do.
As the Democratic nominee picked up another high-profile endorsement. In a New York Times op-ed today, former CIA Director Mike Morell said he'd be voting for Clinton in November and warned of Trump's impact on the world stage, saying, quote, Mr. Trump has no experience on national security. Even more important, the character traits he has exhibited during the primary season suggests he would be a poor, even dangerous commander-in-chief. Morell also slammed Trump's praise of Russian President Vladimir Putin, saying, quote, in the intelligence business, we would say that Mr. Putin had recruited Mr. Trump as an unwitting agent of the Russian Federation. The Clinton campaign also releasing a new television ad featuring conservatives critical of Trump's foreign policy views.
If he governed consistent with some of the things he said as a candidate, I would be very frightened.
Nationally, Clinton's lead over Trump continues to widen. An upswing helped perhaps by President Obama's rising job approval rating and a positive jobs report.
And also some national polls showing that the gap is widening here. She gaining ground on Mr. Trump. Also in the state of Georgia, a 4-point margin between the two, 4 points ahead within the margin of error. But certainly that red state, Georgia, not not voting for a Democratic nominee since Bill Clinton in 1992. That is a good sign that she is so close in that race in Georgia, Jake.
All right, Suzanne Malveaux, thank you so much. Let's now discuss all of it with my political panel. We have with us CNN political commentator and Donald Trump supporter Kayleigh McEnany, Jennifer Granholm, the former governor of Michigan and a senior advisor with Correct the Record, which is a pro-Clinton super PAC, and also with us Michael Steele, a former advisor to the Jeb Bush presidential campaign and the former press secretary to vice presidential candidate Paul Ryan. Michael Steele, thanks for being here, as well as you, Governor Granholm, and Kayleigh. Let me start with you, Kayleigh. First of all, Governor Kasich once again saying that he doesn't know who he's going to vote for, expressing a lot of disapproval of Hillary Clinton, but really disappointment in Donald Trump. You must know other Republicans who feel that way. What do you tell them?
Well, I tell them that this is a binary selection. Either you select Donald Trump or you select Hillary Clinton. There's no other viable choice. And, by sitting it out, you're essentially allowing Hillary Clinton to become president. But, with regard to Kasich, I think a lot of this has to do with the internal feuding between the campaigns. You mentioned the other portion of your interview talks about, was he extended the vice presidential opportunity or was he not? And there was a lot of feuding there. So I really wish that the Trump campaign would make an overture to smooth things over, because while endorsements are not important, I do think that this one is rather important, given that he is governor of Ohio and has close ties with the state GOP. So I do wish that this one endorsement would happen, and I think it will in time.
Michael, as you know, no Republican since Abraham Lincoln in 1860 has won the presidency without winning the state of Ohio. How damaging is it that Donald Trump is not supported by John Kasich, and the support, at least what's stated by Governor Kasich, is based on he really just doesn't like what Donald Trump stands for?
Yeah, I think it's hugely damaging. It's yet another example of Donald Trump not doing the things that are necessary to bring the party together and beat Hillary Clinton. And if he wants to actually accomplish that goal, which is the point of this exercise, beat Hillary Clinton, elect a Republican to the White House, then he needs to start reaching out to other Republicans, knock off the kindergarten crap, and actually bring our party together.
Governor Granholm, let me ask you, once again, Secretary Clinton today suggesting that FBI Director Comey said that what she told the American people about classified information on her server was true. That is not what the FBI director said. He said that what she told the FBI was true, but then when asked about repeated claims that Clinton had made to the American people, he said that's not true, that's not true, that's not true. Why the self-inflicted wound here? Why not just be honest and say, the FBI director said some things and I'm taking them to heart and moving on and learning from them? Why continue to keep this alive by not being honest about it?
Jake, she was totally honest today. She said, and she's been honest, you have construed this and twisted it in a way that is, just listen to it carefully. She said, one, the FBI director said she told the truth to him. She told him and the American people what she told the FBI. So she was making the leap, as she said, that what she told the FBI was true, because that's what she's been telling the American people. She wasn't distorting anything. In fact, she made it super clear today. Boy, does she want to move on, and boy, do the American people want to move on. This little email thing is completely irrelevant to their lives. We'd much rather be talking about what she's out there talking about today, which is creating jobs and making sure that Republicans like John Kasich understand that she's talking about small business creation, infrastructure investment, advanced manufacturing, things that Republicans and Democrats care about.
Governor, with all due respect, I didn't misread anything or misrepresent anything. Every fact checker agrees with me. What she has been saying is not true.
But what,
and I do
I'm
think
telling you what today
that
she said
a candidate's
today.
honesty is important. A candidate's
Totally
honesty
agree.
is important.
Totally agree. But my point is, today, Jake, she clarified what the fact checkers had given her Pinocchios for. What she said today was that it's true, and you agree that the FBI director said that what she told him was true. What she is saying is that she told the FBI what she told the American people. So yeah, there was a leap in the past conversation that she had with Chris Wallace, saying that what she told the American people was true. She didn't say that today. She said what she told the FBI was the same thing she's been telling the American people.
All right, well, I don't think that's true, but I do want to move on in the time we have. Michael, what do you make of the fact that Donald Trump has gotten into this fight about whether or not he's going to endorse Speaker Ryan, John McCain, and Kelly Ayotte?
Well, this is what's monumentally frustrating about this situation. Secretary Clinton is repeating a falsehood about an important national security issue. She's done it again and again, and yet instead of talking about that, instead of prosecuting the case that she has shown poor judgment in this critical area, we're talking about these stupid internecine battles that Donald Trump is bringing on himself. That's why he needs to grow up and become the leader this party needs, because the stakes in this election are just that high.
Kaylee, last word. This has been a bad week by however you measure it for Donald Trump. Is he capable of turning it around? Is he capable of the kind of discipline that people like you and other supporters of his want him to have?
Yes, I think he is. And I think that the tweet this morning, basically admitting that he was mistaken about the video, was a big step. You know, it's really the first time we've seen him kind of acknowledge this error, in a public manner. So that was an example. And I think, if he does endorse Ryan, I don't think he needs to. I think he should re-empower the American people and allow Republican voters to decide. But if he takes that step, it is a signal that he is listening to advisors around him. So those two indicators suggest that he is trying to reboot this, and that's an encouraging thing.
Governor Granholm, Michael Steele, Kayleigh McEnany, thanks one and all. Appreciate it.
All right, Jake.
Thanks.
Donald Trump's electoral path to victory includes winning this state, Ohio, as well as the state just next door, Pennsylvania, which has not gone for a Republican presidential candidate since 1988. Can Donald Trump pick the lock of the Keystone State?